Hello, everybody. It's your boy Jmulls of Jmulls Gaming here to give my quick breakdown of the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Direct. I won't go into too many story spoilers, just what they kind of said was the outline for the game. So I'll leave that for the end of the video. So the first part of this video is going to be more of a gameplay breakdown and my thoughts on it. Because my early impressions of the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 combat is that it might be my favorite in the franchise. It's looking really good. And it's also evoking a lot of the very heavily customizable aspects you kind of come to expect with Xenoblade, and how there's a lot of customization to be found with each character. But even more so in this game, because they're borrowing the class system from 2, but it seems like they're revamping it in a way to where each character has a specific class, but you can change that class as well. So I believe it's around here. So you have a few classes here, but you can change what class your character actually is. So this guy, Tyon, in all the trailers, he used a lot of paper talismans as a healer. That was his mechanic. But you can change his class to be more of a DPS, to more so align with other characters, so you can get different effects going, and stuff like that. So it is very flexible in that regard, and how where they broke down who each character was, they said you have 2 healers, 2 tanks, 2 attackers. Attackers are DPS. But in actuality, it's far more liquid, far more malleable than that, since you can change the actual class of each character seemingly, which means you have a wide spread of arts that you can select from. A lot of different combinations you can go here. I wonder if you can go like 6 healer, 6 tank, or 6 DPS if you wanted to. I'd be very interested to see how much damage you can actually output with everybody as a DPS attacker. But what I do really like is this Master Arts system. Now, for those who do not know, Master Arts are essentially a system in the game that allows you to have an ability from a different class on your class. So the example they gave was, if you're a tank, so if you make this character a tank, you can slot in a heal as a Master Art. So if need be, you can pop off a quick heal. Which to me just kind of, one of the things I probably would do more so than not is give healers attacking abilities and give everybody else healing abilities. Because a lot of the bosses in Xenoblade, in my experience, do a lot of damage, so I like to be able to heal that up. You could also argue that you might just want a lot of damage, you might want a lot of mitigation. There's a lot of flexibility that comes with this Master Art system by itself, and how each class specifically can have basically a subclass. So you have a lot of combinations you just have right there, and then on top of that, you can change the class of every character. So there is so much customization in how you build each of these characters, and I always loved that with Xenoblade. Because, for instance, in 1, what I like to do with my Fiora was I made her a tank-ish character, to where she does a lot of crits, a lot of double attacks, and those double attacks always crit, and then when she crits, she gets healed. There's a lot of customization there from 1. A lot of customization with the blade system from 2. And it seems like they're just taking those ideas and just putting them in 3. And I really appreciate that this is the direction that they're going. Because it's in conjunction with another mechanic they're introducing into this 3 that is unique into the series. I don't know if X allows you to swap party members or not. But in 3, you can. In combat. So that basically what they just said there was what I talked about earlier, how your tanks, your defenders, can also be a healer if you give them the right Master Art. But you're allowed to swap characters in combat. Let me try and find where this was in the trailer real quick. So I can't find it, but essentially you just use L and R to swap what party member you're controlling actively. But you do have a Blade-esque system with 3, and it's the hero mechanic. So the hero's mechanic is, okay, this is going to sound really weird, but if you're familiar with Honkai Impact and how your artifacts were essentially other characters, that's how they kind of work here. Where you have these heroes you pick up along your journey, I guess, and if you slot them onto various characters, you get different buffs and various abilities, because each hero has a class, and that class gives you various abilities for that character. See? There is so much customization here. Like, it's almost overwhelming how much customization there is, and I love it. I really do. Because it's gonna breed so many desires in me to just replay the game and just try out different things. Because think of it like this. Every character can swap class. You automatically have a lot of abilities there. You can then swap characters in combat. So that's a lot of different abilities you can control right there. You can then have Master Arts, which gives you the abilities of another class for your primary class. That's a lot of customization right there. On top of that, you slot in various heroes of different classes that give you different abilities as well to be able to use. That is a lot of customization there. So it's going to be a lot of things you need to keep track of in combat and prepping for combat. It's looking really good to me. And, by the way, the most important thing in this entire trailer, let's be really honest. In the entire Direct, this is by far the most important thing. You have the appearance changer brought back from 1, thank God. So we can actually change the look of a character. I had to play as Rex in that basic blue outfit for far too long. Find your fashion and fight for the future. Now, the last main mechanic of the combat I really want to touch upon before we talk about various other accoutrements is Ouroboros. So, those who played X, like me, I didn't beat X, but I played most of it. You got a giant robot partway through. Now, if you know me, you know I have a weakness for giant robots. You don't necessarily have a giant robot in this game, but you have a giant, like, kaiju instead. Now, that just sounds freaking awesome, straight up. But what you can do is you have 2 party members that are basically like linked to each other. And essentially they do a DBZ fusion. And you have 1 character in control, but it takes 2 characters to make the Ouroboros. So with that Ouroboros, depending upon which party member is in control of that kaiju, it will change what abilities or even the class that Ouroboros has. And you can swap who's in control. So again, another layer of customization, another layer of personality, another layer of player expression. I like it. They need to nail the balance, by the way. That's a big thing. You don't just want one build to be glaringly overpowered. That's kind of like required at endgame. But yeah, they look freaking awesome, don't they? Like, look at this thing. Look at it. Looks like a freaking Power Ranger, in a way. So those are the various ones, and these are the party members that can combine with one another, I guess. So you get different abilities, and you swap into the Ouroboros guy. Basically just trying to spam a bunch of arts while you're in it, and getting as much damage as you possibly can. So that's another layer of customization. There's another one. Alright, well, I found it, but right before it is actually where they swap class. You can see there, you can swap with Eleanor. You can actively swap at any time, they said, who you're controlling, which is really cool to me. And it seems like you also had little AoE puddles there that give you various buffs. So I wonder if that's an ability from the characters that they pull off. So if you stand in this one, you get evasion up, or this one, and you get attack up. Gonna have a lot of fun with the AI just constantly walking out of that. That's gonna be fun. But you also have the basic positionals that you come to expect with Xenoblade Combat. So, they're combining a lot of the elements from the previous games into this one. But there is a specific mechanic that I want to talk about because it sounds really cool. Well, besides this, like, you have the combo from 2, where it's break, topple, launch, smash. Love it. I always thought it was fun as hell to smash an opponent like that. But you have chain attacks as well. There's another thing I want to talk about. So, for those who've played Feature Connected, It's kind of like inspired from the Pawn Spectre attack, from what I've seen, to where you get a variety of options of how you want the effect to actually play out. For these chain attacks, it's not just a bunch of basic damage, or you get to do what ought you do. It's, okay, you would have it do a lot of damage, you might have it do some kind of utility for you, you might be in a heal, you might be single target, you might be AoE, stuff like that. I'm really interested to see how much customization there is just there. Now we'll talk about one other thing about the combat, because there's a lot to it. So, yeah, fusion attacks. This is another layer of combat that seems interesting, because it seems based upon what button you have each ability slotted into. So X, Y, B, and then up, right, down. So what this does is I'll basically let them explain it for a hot second.
You can unleash fusion art attacks that combine the effects of two arts into one.
So essentially, it links two arts that you have together, and then when you pull off the fusion attack, it will give you the effect of both arts. I'm going to assume it combines the damage. I don't know if it will just take the value of the higher one, or it will just combine the damage numbers that both are supposed to do and combines them. Or if it's just a flat damage for a fusion art, but you got the effects of both. So for this one, it does the wide slash and the sword strike ability. So you get evade and side break. This one will give you AoE sleep while doing also AoE. This one gives you knockback and cancel attack plus. That's another layer of customization for these arts and what they can actually do, and how each character itself can play. Because remember, you can swap party members. If I have a trepidation, a concern, if you will, for anything with Xenoblade 3, is that it might be a bit too much to manage. I'm kind of in favor of having that problem, though, because this looks really cool, it looks really fun, and it looks like something where I just want to spend time customizing my party to suit my preferences. This looks really cool to me. Now we talked about the combat and all the parts of it that I think we've covered at this point, unless we're missing one, because there's so many different like individual mechanisms going into this combat. Let's talk about the accoutrement on top of it. If this would load. Any day now. That's it! I've discovered a new recipe! So you have the food mechanic from 2. So when outside of the combat, in the regular gameplay, they're combining a lot of the elements from 2 and 1 together. So really going off the story idea where they're combining 2 and 1 as well. So you have the food mechanic from 2. But those who absolutely adore 1, let's see if we can find it here. Where are you? You have the ability, you have the gems that you can craft as well. And it seems like to get side quests, thank God, you can get some side quests from doing this campfire. So each party member in a specific like hangout location goes around, finds out what needs to be done, comes back together, and then they talk about it as a group. Or you're just talking about individual side quests. Something might have happened to make him wander off like that. We should look for him. So you get some side quests from doing this. So another aspect that I really like about Xenoblade is the interaction between the various party members. So this should help facilitate more dialogue between the party members. So I feel this is a win in my opinion. So you can come to these campfires, these campsites, kind of like 15 in a way in how you did that. But here you can also get side quests from it. So again, my main concern with the side quests is that they go too far in the route of Xenoblade 1. We get a lot of filler ones, a lot of just repetition, a lot of basic turn-ins, a lot of basic kill quests. Give me side quests that have stories, that have characters I should care about, and help develop the relationships between the various party members. Those are the side quests I find most interesting. But you also have affinity. So let me go find that one for you all. Alright, who is having flashbacks to 1 right now? This is a cool system. My issue is the amount of side quests that might come off of this. What I'd like to see, dialogue options to where we can affect the relationships between these characters. Like how in Xenoblade 1, the best side quests, in my opinion, were always the one where you had an option to change the events and how characters would view one another. I hope they go that route as well and tend to lean into that instead of, hey, I need 5 fish. Go get me 5 fish. Oh, the relationship between these two characters just went up. Cool. Wonderful. Hope that's not the route they go. But this is a cool system that I think is worthy of development.
Get a glimpse of the lives of Noah and his friends at these rest spots, founding colonies and throughout.
And like I said, this is the kind of stuff I like to see from Xenoblade, where they're just taking time in the side activities to develop the relationships and the characters between the party members, because that's always been Xenoblade's strength to me, is those party dynamics, not just in terms of gameplay, but in terms of story. Make us care about these characters and make us care about how they react and interact with one another, because that's always been one of Xenoblade's biggest strengths, in my opinion. I love the food mechanic from 2. I'm glad they're bringing it back. Love the fact you can cook. I like the fact we're getting the gem crafting back as well. I kind of like that from 1, and something I kind of missed from 2 was being able to craft your own gems. And it does seem like the kind of hybridizing what you had in 2 and 1, when 2 you had the cylinder thing, where you go to a various location, you have to like input a bunch of materials to get a gem. But in this case, you kind of go, actually, the more I look about it, the more I look into it, is they're using a lot of the art from 1, but the mechanic of it actually seems more in line with 2. Which could be good. Like I said, it could be good. The random element with building from just basic raw materials you got and making them in actual gems was kind of annoying. So if they manage to pull this off and make it fun, I'll be interested to see how they go with that. Craft with coins and craft with materials. I haven't looked at this that in depth before. So can you choose to craft with materials or just craft with coin? Coin cost. So you have various coins here that you can use to craft these cylinders, or if you have the raw materials for them, you can just use those instead. More options for the player. Cool. I like it.
And discuss information you hear about.
And it looked like there how you had 2 party members interacting with this. So I wonder if they're going to borrow a mechanic from Xenoblade 1 to where each party member has a specific like crafting ability, and depending on how you combine them together, you get various ways to build them. I wonder if they're going to go with that route. I'd be interested to see if that's the route they go. So, story-wise, I'm going to leave it very bare bones. So, essentially, the party member is consisted of 2 groups of 3. Each group is from one of the major nations. And those nations are at war. But events of the game, very early on from the looks of it, bring them together where they have to fight together and get over their differences to strive and to overcome this common enemy. That seems to be the main idea behind the party dynamic. I'm really interested to see how they build that from here and where they take it. And it does seem they're blending a lot of the themes and motifs and a lot of the aesthetics and enemies from 1 and 2. Because there's a lot of Mechon. You can actually just see here in the Expedition and Mission. I don't know if 3 calls them Mechon or something else, but they look like faced Mechon. Be really interested to see where they go from here. If they keep the side quest number down to a minimum, but make each of those side quests dynamic and fun and engaging, have a good story about them and not just filler, while also making use of one's affinity tree, that'd be 2 thumbs up for me. I really want to see them iterate on those ideas, those systems, and make them more fun and engaging. The campfire mechanic, the camps in general seem good. There's a lot of elements here that I'm really looking forward to. Like I said, the combat itself looks like it might be my favorite in the franchise to me. That looked really strong, really very heavy in terms of customization, but that was always one of Xenoblade's strengths, in my opinion, was just how wacky you can take your builds. Not necessarily wacky, but how personalized you can make your builds. I want to use this character, I want to make this character not a healer, but a DPS, or I want to make this healer a specific type of healer, or more of a support-based healer. Stuff like that. I love it. I love to see it. Looking really cool to me. Really looking forward to see where this game goes from here. I didn't get that many story spoilers, but I wasn't really looking out for a specific, like, they showed like half a second from the end of the game. I didn't really notice anything like that. But again, I'm going to keep the story spoilers to a minimum in this video. But from what I've seen, looks really cool. The zone design looks gorgeous. Oh my god. Really interested to see where they go from here. So, thank you all for tuning in. My pleasure for making the video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out and helps support future content, and I greatly appreciate it. Stay safe out there, everybody. Have a great day. I'm going to go rest my voice because it's starting to get a little bit sore. Stay safe out there, everybody. Have a great day. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody.